Hello and thank you for joining us for a very important conversation. My name is Hopola Mbeme and I'm the Communications Manager at RMA Mutual Assurance. Today we are coming live to you from the Mining Indaba Africa 2025 and I'm joined by my colleague Pinky Apane, who is also the Rehabilitation Manager at RMA Mutual Assurance. Pinky, hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. And how are you? Good to be here.
As mentioned that we're coming from the Mining Indaba Africa 2025, today's conversation is really about how it is RMA contributes to the bigger picture and rehab being one of the main pillars that we can speak about as an organization. Rehabilitation goes beyond just the rehabilitation of an injured mine worker. It's about giving dignity back, ensuring that what would be an injured mine worker is able to come back to mainstream economy and contribute to the betterment of society. Pinky, I think it's a very important conversation. We've been meaning to have a chat about it. The first question is, let's start around how does RMA contribute to a more resilient sector?
Well, RMA is one of the market leaders in the administration of occupational injuries and diseases. We are 131 years old. So from a resilience point of view, one can see or, sort of pride ourselves in a sense that we have actually preceded the compensation fund or the workman's comp, because it was formed way before the compensation fund came into play, right? So by the time that the regulatory, the compensation of occupational injuries and diseases came into play, RMA was already in the forefront of that. So it actually tells you about the level of resilience that we have as a company, and over and above that, even with the changes that have taken place over decades in terms of the compensation fund and the regulatory framework, and now we are in the middle of the amended COIDA Act. So we have actually transgressed ourselves to move with the times, and from a compliance perspective to make sure that as a licensee of the compensation fund that we are compliant.
Okay. And Binky, just to bring it closer to home, one of the reasons we're here, the overall theme is future-proofing Africa's mining sector today. How is RMA contributing to that holistically, particularly as well in your space?
Yes. So with RMA being 131 years old, I cannot emphasize that anymore, right? Because it's our pride. We've been the leading market within this space. And for the fact that, as we've mentioned before, that we've moved over time and adjusted with all the changes of the regulation, one of the aspects of the regulation that is now coming is the whole thing around employers being enforced to make sure that compensation doesn't just stop at compensation, because we're not doing our country justice by just stopping at compensation, because we are dealing with human beings that actually has life after the effect of either an occupational injury or an occupational acquired disease. So one of the things that have been now been included in the Amendment Act was that it actually indicates that all employers will be expected to make sure that these injured employees, or the ones that have actually acquired occupational diseases, are rehabilitated. So the Amendment Act that was signed off in in April 2023, actually the mandate is very clear to the employer, and that also binds us as the funder to make sure that we comply to that, and that's why now we've got the rehabilitation program. And as RMA, we're always very proactive. We are preceding the regulation, but from an Amendment Act as well regarding the Rehabilitation and Return to Work program, we are actually also sort of leading in the market to say, let's pilot this program, let's see how it's going to work. Let's also build capacity so that when it's promulgated, we are ready. We've got the resources in place, we've tried and tested, and there's evidence-based practices that have been applied to make sure that we are actually advocating for the success of the program in line with complying to the regulation and what is expected from us and the mandate that we are supposed to deliver on. So that is what it's all about.